Back again with the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you as always, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star. I'm Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're talking about the three-peat. It lives, the dream of a three-peat lives right now. We'll talk about how the Chiefs get by the Buffalo Bills, how Patrick Mahomes led the Chiefs to their highest point total of the year. Why? What happened? How much credit does Andy Reid and Matt Nagy deserve for this victory? Take away from the Bills' final drive. Does anyone still think Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen have closed the gap on Patrick Mahomes? What should Buffalo be saying about Josh Allen? How did the injury to Christian Benford change this game? Did Spags get the better of Joe Brady in those short yardage situations? The Chiefs defense gave up nearly 150 yards on the ground. Again, that's the second straight playoff game. Is this going to be a problem as they head into the Super Bowl? Plus the refs say Josh Allen didn't get the first down. Did they get it right? Well, we're talking about it right here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is the sports columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world: home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it. Get with Dave and he'll have you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call, visit them online, or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave. He'll give you peace of mind today for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Curtis, we are off and running here with the Red, Gold, and Bold. Kansas City Chiefs win. Jeff, for those who don't remember, you picked the Chiefs, right? As I recall.
Pick the Bills.
Oh, you did? I thought you picked the Chiefs. So you said as it gets later and later, it gets harder and harder to beat them. I thought you picked the Chiefs. Are you sure?
I'll pick them this coming game. How about that?
Okay.
I picked them the game before.
I'm going to have to go back and check that out because I actually thought you picked the Chiefs, so my bad. I honestly wasn't trying to.
You're in jest.
I wasn't. I'm honestly, I think you're wrong. Am I picked, let's see.
Sam knows.
Buffalo 33-27. Yeah. I did. My bad. Sorry. Well, anyway, biggest takeaway from the game is what?
Look, if you want to, I think Josh Allen said, if you want to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And I think what that
Ric
game
Flair
showed,
said that actually, but anyway.
What's that? Well, I think
Ric Flair said that originally.
But, he echoed it then.
Yeah.
But I think, look, I said last week it was going to be a line of scrimmage game. I thought Josh Allen and Mahomes would cancel each other out. I think that's what happened. But it came down to, could the Bills bully the Chiefs in certain situations? And when it came down to it, the Chiefs weren't going to be bullied. In this game, if you look at the stats, the Bills had 6 more yards. Chiefs had 1 more first down. Time possession was 30 seconds difference. I mean, really across the board, I think there was one more penalty for, I think, the Bills than the Chiefs had. And so I think it was as evenly played of a game as you could watch. When you have those kind of games, it does come down to a handful of plays. And specifically, I thought, you get 2 stops in a 2-point situation and you get a huge stop on 4th and 1. I think if the Bills convert that 4th and 1, they probably win the game, because they're probably going to take about 5-6 more minutes off the clock, potentially score a touchdown, could make it a 2-score game, and then it's hard on the Chiefs. But the Chiefs decided they weren't going to be pushed around in that moment. And yeah, the last play was huge, the Kincaid drop and the blitz and all that stuff. But to me, those moments really define what the Chiefs are. They, if you want to be the champion, you got to take it from them, and they weren't letting it be taken from them.
Sam, biggest takeaway?
I did not think it was an evenly played game, and I didn't think that the quarterbacks were evenly played either. I thought the clear best quarterback in this game won. I thought the clear best coach in this game won. I thought the clear best coaching staff in this game one. This game should not have been as close as it was. There were 5 fumbles in this game. Buffalo recovered all of them. There were 2 fourth down conversions.
And they produced 4 of them, it should be pointed out. They put 4 of them on the ground.
Yes. Which, I mean, look, they had good turnover luck all year. They were the second highest rate of fumble recoveries all year. I'll be interested to see if they can repeat that next year. But there were 2 fourth down conversion for touchdowns in this game. Both of them were the Bills. The Chiefs had a 10% better success rate on a per play basis than the Bills did. You know, FTN Network does something where they have a post game formula that breaks all that stuff down as far as success rate, fumbles, that sort of thing, and gives you and spits out what your chances should be. And the Chiefs were at 99.2 in this game. Like, this game was not nearly as closely played as what the final score indicated. And like I said, the headline for me is that the difference in quarterbacks in this game was massive. One quarterback was ready for the moment and one was not.
I think that's interesting that you put, I'm somewhere in between the two of you.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a coin flip. It was a coin flip game in the end because Buffalo was a play away. But I do acknowledge, and I think along your lines, I think the Chiefs could have run away from this. But I think that's part of it. Like, I mean, we said that all throughout the year, right? Early on. Now, I think this one, I think they're playing better football, and they were starting to separate from people late, but now they're playing one of the best opponents you could play. And so I think it's, credit the Buffalo Bills for hanging around. That's kind of what they do. But, and I think the Chiefs could have won this game by 10 points, right? They didn't because they did fumble it, bad execution. And Buffalo, going up against the Bills, you can't do that. So I'm with you. My takeaway from this, so I'm somewhere in between the two of you as far as matchup of the two teams. But my biggest takeaway was the physicality of the Chiefs. And we're going to get into that on the short yardage. Like they were a physical team, and that's not really what they're known for, but I think it's what they needed in this game. And they had it when they needed it. And so that to me, that was the most impressive thing, was the physicality that the Chiefs had in this game.
By the way, it was 28-22 on first downs. It wasn't just one difference.
20-22, so it was 8 different or 6 different?
6 different, yeah.
I do my math slowly there with my fingers.
Wow.
So Patrick Mahomes, this was their highest point total, Sam, along the way. 32 points, most points they scored. How much of this is Patrick Mahomes?
A lot. I mean, I thought Andy Reid.
How did he do it?
Well, I thought Andy Reid unleashed the best player in football in a way that we really haven't seen him this year. And I mean, he let him run the ball. Like on key plays in this game, it wasn't Mahomes scrambling for first downs. It was Andy Reid designing runs. That the second touchdown run that he had was only the second design run of his career per Next Gen Stats. Like Andy Reid was holding some stuff back from this game. And again, on a per dropback basis, like he had his highest success rate of the entire season in his biggest game of the entire season. It was actually 99th percentile according to Ben Baldwin's model. I mean, he was in control of the whole game. The first 2 drives, I mean, before the fumble, they didn't even face a third down yet. And I think other than one big mistake, and I'm not trying to gloss over that mistake because that could have been a gigantic mistake in this game, and that was not Buffalo's doing. That was the Chiefs' own doing with when I'm referring to the fumble. But outside of that play, he was in complete control of the game. And it's quite clear when these moments get big, and we've always known this, that he turns it on. But it's also quite clear he's willing to put his body on the line in a way that he has just determined cannot hold up over the course of a 17-game schedule if he plays that way every week. But he does play that way in these games. And I think it's just something that should always be in the back of our minds when we're analyzing this team over the course of a regular season, that there's a reason that there's a better gear in the playoffs. I mean, there's one stat I'll throw at you guys, which is his quarterback rating in the fourth quarter or overtime and playoff games is 108.9. Like when the game's on the line, he is at his very best. By the way, Tom Brady in those situations over his career, 81.5 is his passer rating in those situations. Like this guy competes at his very best when the team needs him most, and when the game's on the line.
How much of this was Patrick Mahomes? And
Well, look, I'm going to push back on Sam because I don't think Josh Allen was like a colossal failure in this game. And I know he's throwing out a lot of advanced stats, but the stats that people see in the game book look pretty similar to me. I think it's pretty similar in passing yards, pretty similar in rushing yards. Patrick Mahomes played a great game,
Not
Josh
the
Allen
fumbles.
didn't do anything. Well, not the fumble, but Josh Allen didn't do anything to lose the game for his team. I would say he wasn't responsible for the blocking on the fourth down situations. He wasn't responsible for the blocking on the blitz situation. He wasn't responsible for Dalton Kincaid dropping the pass.
I agree with
all
that.
So he made some amazing throws in this game, and everybody I've talked to about the game was nervous in the second half. So I didn't feel like there was this sense of, the Chiefs are just rolling here, and how are the Bills even in this game? There was a lot of people who I talked to who were very nervous about how this game played out in the second half, and there were times when the Bills were in control of the game in the second half. And so, but to Soren's question about Mahomes, Mahomes is incredible in these moments. And look, part of it was, and we'll get to it in a second, the Bills took a huge loss in their secondary and Christian Benford went down. And they realized we can attack Kaiir Elam, and they were relentless in attacking Kaiir Elam. And that was to their credit. But I do think the play calling in situations was very strong. I think the willingness to let Mahomes use his legs, it was apparent that if he got man coverage, he was going to take off out of the pocket. I was surprised the Bills didn't spy him more because they did that in the first game a lot. But I think once you lose a cornerback and you're taking on water in your secondary, it's pretty hard to play the kind of defense you want to play. So he played great, but the Bills helped him in that regard.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I think he does an incredible job. I think his sack avoidance is something that, even though a lot of people talk about it, he still doesn't get enough credit for. And his running. I mean, they unleashed him with the running part of the equation. Now, part of that is the Andy Reid setup, and we can just roll right into the Andy Reid, Matt Nagy part, because I think Reid uses Patrick Mahomes perfectly. And I think we saw an incredible amount of patience, Sam. There are plays that they could have been running all year. They played all these close games, all these games that are tight. They're holding back, waiting for this moment. I mean, that is an incredible amount of patience to just keep having something. And just, we know the depth of plays that Andy Reid can come up with. And every play seems to have 7-8 different, variations to it, layers to it that you can run. But I do think this, I don't want to say it was their masterpiece because it's tough to say when you get to 32 points, which is a fine point total, but it's not 50-something. They didn't just go up and down the field. They were stopped. They did have to punt. So it wasn't like it was perfection or anything, but there were just some things where you're like, wow. I mean, that's why they're great. The two of them together. He's got the ultimate weapon, but he knows how to use him. And I had to give credit to the Bills, too. I think they, hammer away with Josh Allen with his running skills and everything. But I do think it was – it's impressive to see Andy Reid be able to shift gears. They're in man after playing zone last time, and so he's got man beater plays ready to go. And I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of the credit in this conversation as well.
Yeah, a ton of it. It's funny how, though, when the offense isn't performing well, that it's Matt Nagy's fault. When it has a great game, that it's Andy Reid's credit. Like, you've got to make a determination if you're a fan about whether it's Andy Reid or Matt Nagy, and just stick with it regardless of how the outcome turns out. But the best thing Andy Reid did was he went for it on fourth down early, because he recognized this was going to be a high-scoring game. And on 4th and 1 on his own half of the field, on 39-yard line, he goes for it and gets the first down and puts Patrick Mahomes in motion. Like, we've seen Patrick Mahomes become too much of a just consistent pocket passer this season, and not on the edge, even when the first option is to throw the ball. We've not seen him run enough, and they used all that in this game. But that was the first time since 2021 that he's gone for a fourth down on his own half of the field in the first half of a game that wasn't a fake punt. But you get to the game plan wise and one thing that you're referring to, Soren, I mean, their first touchdown of the game is the Kareem Hunt run. The Patrick Mahomes 10-yard run is the exact same play. And I of course read some of the reporting from Buffalo as well, and watched a couple of their interviews. And Gregory Rousseau said that was the first time all year they've seen that play a lot on film. It's the first time all year they've seen Patrick Mahomes keep it. They didn't even know that was an option on that play. That's Andy Reid and Matt Nagy at work. Like, they're putting this on film all year. Then all of a sudden, the AFC Championship game, when you're in a must-have moment, they get the Bills to crash hard on Kareem Hunt on that play, and Patrick Mahomes pulls it, and Travis Kelce's his lead blocker. They're running stuff that, to your point, Stren, they hadn't run all year.
And I think this is a credit to their being able to get the bye week, because we heard, hey, what do you do with all that time off? One of the things they said was, well, we self-scout. And I think they did look at
It's the primary thing they do.
Yeah, and here are all the things we've always done, and we're going to give them a different look. And they did that. And I agree with you on the Matt Nagy side. I'm not leaving Matt Nagy out. I just don't know what he does and doesn't do. I know he's a big part of it. I know the offensive coordinator, Andy Reid, always has a lot of things he's doing, and he's the guy. We all know that. But any success that goes on, Matt Nagy shares in, but it's ultimately Andy Reid. I'm with you on the fans. Like, deciding that Matt Nagy's somehow a problem on the days that they don't have a good day offensively is ridiculous. Where do you sit, Jeff, on how much this was, a virtual performance from Matt Nagy, Andy Reid, and giving Mahomes the good plays? To quote Eric,
I'm not a big fan of the good play theory. I think that they looked at the situations they were coming up with, they were facing with this team, and realized, here's what we have to do. Here's what can work. And it's always, I think they're really good situationally throughout the season and the postseason. I don't think it's like we're holding everything back and now we're going to spring it. It's like they go into the week, they look at what we do last time, where are they weak, how can we take advantage of this? I thought it was, and they were willing to use everybody. They clearly had things they liked for Juju Smith-Schuster. They had things they liked for Justin Watson, that 2-point play. And he talked about the throw to Samaje Perine, the clinch the game on the third down situation, 3rd and 9. And those are all, some of those are gambles. You're relying on players you're not asking a whole lot of over the course of the season, but that's really the beauty of the team, right? That they are willing to go to those places, as they did last year. Mecole Hardman catching the touchdown in the Super Bowl to win it. That's not the guy you expect to do it in those moments, but they trust we dial something up, it can work for you. And so, I had this argument on the air on the morning show on 810 with St. John and Jake Gutierrez, and he was like, "Oh, the Bills screwed it up, and Sean McDermott, didn't do this, and didn't do that, and they should have used James Cook more." I'm like, look, sometimes you just get beat. Sometimes the other team makes a play and beats you. It's like if you run 100 pass plays, a receiver might beat a DB 50 times, and the DB might win 50 times. If you do that with D ends and pass rushers, and so. I thought there were, going back to my original point, I thought there were plenty of points in that game where Buffalo won and the Chiefs won. The difference was the Chiefs won in the margins. Everything we're talking about comes back to what you said, Soren. It was the physicality that determined the Chiefs win in this game. Everything else was just the build up to that part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that was definitely part of it. And I think matching them, and we'll get into the short yardage part of the equation, I think was giant, because that's one of the places that, we'll see it, next game against the Eagles too. That's one of the things that they do in those, and we'll see if the Chiefs are up to the challenge for sure. But, I do think the Buffalo Bills had a lot of positive things going on. I mean, like, the score matters. I mean, I like all the numbers and all the analytics, but like they were there. They were there the entire game. They were never not in this game. It wasn't a lucky play or something like that. They were constantly there. And I think it's why I said before the game, I don't think the Buffalo Bills can win a game that's even in the turnover differential. And it wasn't. They were +1 and they still didn't win. And I think if it had been even, the Chiefs would have won by more. I think the Bills, and this is what I said last time, and I'll stand by it, they were a little overrated. A little overrated when people are like, they're the best team in the NFL, hands down. No, they're not quite that good. They're as good as any. They can be better than anyone on any given Sunday. They're never crappy. They're never terrible. They're a very good team. But this concept, everybody always wants a super team, and they always want it to be. They want to be the first one to arrive at whoever it is. And when they kind of got hot, everybody wanted to announce the Bills are it. And later it was the Ravens, and nobody wants to admit that. Yes, they are that team that's playing well at that time, but they're also the team that has shown flaws earlier in the year. Those flaws are still there. Just like Chiefs fans, the flaws are still there in the Chiefs. Like left tackle is still not, a hammer when it comes to any kind of power rushers, right? Mike Caliendo, we saw get picked up and thrown at the quarterback in this game. There are still flaws. Just because you win this one game does not mean you would have gone 100-0 had you played 100 times. It does not mean that you're going to kick everyone's ass. And I think that's, the Chiefs did a slightly better job of exploiting the flaws of the Bills than the Bills were able to do of the Chiefs. I think it's as simple as that. It's,
so the Chiefs were favored by 1.5. What's the line if these two teams played again next week?
Chiefs, where at Arrowhead?
Yeah, back at Arrowhead, same exact situation next week.
I think
the same line.
It's not the same line.
Yeah.
I
don't understand this idea. The
Chiefs are
Bills
favored
are
by the Chiefs are favored by at least a field goal if they play.
I don't know what game Sam was watching here.
I don't. I mean, how could you say the game's won in the margins? How could you say there's no luck involved? They got all 5 fumbles.
It was a
all
3-point game.
Fumbles.
It was a 3-point game. They were up 22-21.
Fumbles and they still lost.
Sam, again, I get the randomness of it, but at the end of the day, it was 22-21 with 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and the Bills were at 4th and 1 at midfield. If they convert that 4th and 1, you think that all of a sudden the game is going to be easier for the Chiefs?
No,
I think
if they get 2 4th downs for touchdowns, one of them by a miraculous play by their running back, if they recover all 5 fumbles, if Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions on his first 2 throws, but the Chiefs just happen to drop them.
But he didn't throw 2 interceptions. That's the whole point.
That's my point. That's my point. Is he got lucky. This is the luckiest he's ever been against this team, and he still lost the game.
Yeah, but I think it needs to be pointed out. There's lucky where you throw an interceptable ball and the defensive back jumps up, tips it up in the air, and it goes on to your receiver and he scores a touchdown. There's also the luck that he had, which they're both lucky moments where a ball was interceptable and it doesn't get intercepted. First of all, we've talked about it many times. That's a 50-50 proposition. Not every interceptable pass ends up being picked off. It's 50-50. So if he had 2, he got away with 1. Really, in reality of if we're going to go with the math. But and you mentioned the fumbles, and I'm a big one because I talked a lot about the fumbles and how it was freakish, how they were getting them all. They got them all again here, but only one of them was a Chiefs fumble, and they got that one, yes. But 4 of them were there, so it's lucky that you didn't give it to the Chiefs, and that would have been a rout. But they also don't. It's not normal for them to fumble 4 times.
Exactly.
Right. So from that standpoint, they're unlucky to put it on the ground.
On one of them, it's the only way
to end up with.
Can I say though? On one of them, it's the only way they get the first down is by him putting that ball in danger. He jumps over the top. They were stopped on that play 3 times in the game. They're the first team in NFL history to be stopped on 3 quarterback draws or 3 quarterback sneaks.
And that matters. That's the game right there. That's the whole point.
Yes.
So I guess I just don't understand this idea that it was not really a close game. That what we were watching was, and again. Soren, you watching with friends? Were your friends sitting there saying in the fourth quarter, "Man, we're just cruising here."
Of course,
Chiefs got this wrapped up.
But that's my point. Is they caught the breaks to keep this game close. Yes, the Chiefs should have been nervous. They should have been. I mean, I told Jesse Newell, who sits next to me at the game, the Bills should have been favored with 3.5 minutes to go. I was stunned the Chiefs were still the betting favorite to win the game. With 3.5, you think if Patrick Mahomes gets the ball 3.5 minutes to go, that the Chiefs are going to be underdogs in that situation? Because I can tell you they won't be. And I know we're getting to the final drive next. So let me set it up by asking you this question.
Well, let me set it up by saying
we'll go to commercial.
Yeah, we're always brought to you by our friends at David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right, go, Sam.
Why did the Bills get back in this game in the third quarter?
Why?
The Bills got back in this game in the third quarter because they told Josh Allen to sit in the sidecar. of the motorcycle ride and let their running game take over. Like, they subtracted their quarterback from this game in the third quarter. They ran 15 out of the 16 plays in the third quarter. That's what turned the tide.
He was the runner some of the time.
Yeah.
He ran his first 10 carries, got 26 yards. He was not an effective runner.
They are, though.
He had the lowest success rate on running plays of his entire season.
I agree the Chiefs did a really good job against him. They did not let him beat him. But just the threat of him running and being forced to defend him is part of what opens up the running game for James Cook. It's part of what opens up the passing game. You know, having to defend him, being willing. It should not be yes.
Go ahead.
Josh Allen runs the ball a lot and he runs it effectively, and he wasn't as effective. But that doesn't mean it is still. He is accomplishing something, and he is effective in changing the game and changing how you defend it just by being the threat of doing it. Right. I agree that Chiefs did a really good job. I'm frankly stunned. I'm sitting here defending the Bills in this situation.
Because Sam's making crazy points. That's why you're defending.
Can I finish? Can I finish the point? Like, okay. You have to live by the numbers or don't. You can't sit here and use this other arbitrage stuff to say, okay, but Josh Allen was effective because he helps the running game. Earlier you said you got to just go by the numbers. He had 10 carries for 26 yards on his first 10 carries. His last scramble gets 13 yards. His first 10 went for, like, those are the real numbers. Those aren't some analytics that you guys don't trust or whatever. Those are the numbers. 10 carries for 26. He was ineffective in this, in the running game. The reason the Bills came back in the third quarter is because they took him out of the game and said, game, you go take over here.
The game was 21-10, right? Late in the second quarter, right? He made a throw that maybe one other guy in this league can make, and it's the guy who played for the Chiefs.
Great throw.
Over Trent McDuffie's, right over it through his ear hole to Mac Hollins for a touchdown. That's Josh Allen making a phenomenal play. Yeah, they get two stops. They get two stops in the third quarter. And trust me, you were there. Fans were booing when your guy Hollywood Brown dropped that pass on the sideline and they didn't convert. People were booing.
You gave him a drop on that?
Yeah, I gave him a drop. He didn't convert it.
You gave Hollywood Brown a drop on that play.
He didn't make the play. Put it that way. He didn't make the play. He's your guy. He didn't make the play. Yeah. They get back in the game because they get two stops and they start running the football. But Josh Allen keyed the whole thing. They don't get that touchdown before halftime. Yeah, the Chiefs are in great position to run away with this thing. I think you're glossing over that part of the game.
No, I don't think Josh Allen lost in this game. I just think he had the opportunity to win him the game, and he did not.
Okay, but he did have an opportunity to win him the game, and the Bills did not, and he did not. That is true. All right, but we're talking overall about your point about how do they get back into this game. I think this is what Jeff's getting at is how do they get back into this game, and you keep saying, well, they took him out of it. They did not take him out of it when with 1:55 to go, trailing 11. They didn't run all the way down the field.
I said the third quarter. I said how'd they get back in the game in the third quarter? Yeah.
Okay, I say they got back into the game when they cut it from 21-10 to 21-17.
That's what I'm saying.
And so I think you're somewhat kind of I think both your points are valid, right? I think Josh Allen proved himself when he got the touchdown to make it 21-17. But I also think, Sam, your point is valid. They recognize we can't just sling it on every down. And they went back to the run. And you could say that that's an indictment of Josh Allen, or you could say, hey, it's good coaching. This is the defense they're giving us, and so we're running the football. I mean, I think you're both right. I mean, there is truth in the fact that they really leaned on the run in the third quarter. And I think they also started going, we're not real effective on defense, and we got to shorten this one.
Yep.
Like we're not going to 42-41 and getting away with it. We got to start shorting it. I think that's also part of why they ran the ball was because they were recognizing that their defense wasn't getting it done against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think that's completely valid. But if that's the case, if your strategy is that the Chiefs are taking away the pass and that's the reason the run is open, where was it with 3.5 minutes to go? You've got 3 timeouts. You've got the 2-minute warning, and the Bills treated the final 3:30 as if they were in their 2-minute drill. They hand off on the first snap to Johnson for losing a yard. Their next 5 plays are dropbacks. They get 1st and 10 and all 4 plays are dropbacks. They have more than 2 minutes to go. They have the 2-minute warning. They're only down 3. They've got 3 timeouts, and they just said, hey, Josh Allen, go win the game. And he couldn't do it, by the way. And
again, I think there were some things that happened in there that, again, I don't.
Well, one thing that didn't happen was a handoff, and that's my point. They should have handed the ball off.
Is that Josh Allen's fault?
It's the Bills' fault, and I do think
you're blaming Josh Allen for this loss. Was that his fault?
First of all, I've already said that I don't think Josh Allen lost him the game. I think he didn't win him the game, though. And I've seen the other guy on the other side like consistently win them the game. Look, I mean, I know you don't like analytics, so I won't quote him. There are many metrics in which Josh Allen played one of his worst games of the season in this game. It's not passer rating.
Feel that way watching it.
It did to me. He had the most turnover-worthy passes he's had all year in this game.
He didn't have a turnover, did he?
He fumbled the ball, and then he fumbled the ball 3 times. Like he could have.
And he didn't lose a fumble.
So that's his credit.
Mahomes fumbled twice.
Fumble. That's his. Mahomes fumbled the one time.
One was called back for an offside. He fumbled twice.
Oh well, he knew it was offside. I mean, God, now we're counting.
It's not what it was now.
Now we're
just dropped the ball. Take the ball. It's offside.
We're tallying plays that don't even count now. I mean, come on.
You just tally fumbles as if like they matter.
Those count. Those count.
Don't lose them.
Let's talk about the final drive. Right? What is the takeaway from the Bills' final drive and the final play, where the Chiefs, ended their threat at that time? It did not end the game, but it was the last time the Bills would possess the ball. Jeff, what do you take away from that?
Look, I think a lot's being made. One, I think the Kincaid drop is a tougher catch than people realize. I think it's very easy. It's a catch, a great play. Travis Kelce could have made that catch, but I think most guys in a situation have a hard time making it because you're talking about you're running one direction, you're cutting back, and you're trying to catch a ball in the middle of 4 guys. And if you ever try to catch a football with people around you and you're not planning on catching that situation, this is why defensive backs drop a lot of interceptions, because the ball gets on them in ways that they don't expect. And I think he thought, you see the way he's trying to catch the ball, he's trying to pull it into his body because he knows I might get hit here and I got to protect the football. He didn't get his hands in the right spot. That's a tough spot. But really, I think a Bills reporter talked to one of their offensive linemen about this, that, if you really break down that play, that the offensive line was the one that was a problem because they ended up sliding to the left when they should have slid to the right because they had a 4-by-1 set with 4 receivers. And if you look at it, it's very hard. It's impossible to blitz in a situation from the right-hand side of the left-hand side of the offense because you're not going to have enough people to cover the receivers. So if the blitz was going to come from anywhere, it was going to come from Josh Allen's right. When they slid left, it opened up a spot for Reid, McDuffie to get on him. I thought he made a hell of a play to get the ball off, but end of the day, it didn't happen. And just real quick, going back, we'll get into the 4th down stop. The coaching mistake Sean McDermott made in this game that was massive, no one talks about, was Dalton Kincaid got the 1st down on the 3rd down play, and he didn't challenge it. So you're not getting the 4th down. They got up and got in that play so quickly that they probably should have, if they challenged that 3rd down situation, they probably get the 1st down. And so I didn't have a problem with the play calling. I think if you've got an MVP quarterback, you believe in him, you've seen him make plays in big moments, you give him the ball. People said, why wasn't James Cook on the field? They trust Ty Johnson in those situations. If you watch the Bills play all season long, he's made big plays for them in the passing game. They felt like they were going to make plays, and they didn't. Again, hats off to the Chiefs.
Final drive of the Bills, final play. Your thoughts, Sam?
Well, I thought I think the reasons the Chiefs should have been most scared in that situation was because of how effective the Bills' running game was. So I would have implemented the running game if I was the Bills. But the last play, I think just a ton of credit goes to Steve Spagnuolo, and a ton of credit has gone to Steve Spagnuolo, but it's rightfully so. I mean, look, Josh Allen calls the protections on those plays, but there's an excuse for why he doesn't see this blitz coming, and it's because all game long. And I heard one Bills offensive lineman interviewed yesterday, a day after the game, and he said it was all season long. I just rewatched the game to ensure it was all game long. Every time the Chiefs showed blitz, they backed up. It was basically a tell that if you got guys on the line of scrimmage, they're not actually coming, they're going to back up. On the last play of the game, that 4th down play, they showed blitz, and they came with it. And so I could see why Josh Allen does not think the blitz is coming and why he slides the protection the way he does. He did his homework, and the homework told him they're not coming. And Justin Reid is the one that really breaks up that play by getting in the backfield. He gets in there unblocked. You know where he was when the ball was snapped? He was standing at the line of scrimmage saying, I'm coming, I'm coming. And because he had done that all game long and he backed up, the Bills didn't believe he was coming. And to me, that's a Spags thing. I think a lot of that is getting blamed on Josh Allen because he's in charge of the protection. But I think it's excusable. Like I said, I think it's a product of doing his homework, not a product of not doing his homework, that he doesn't change up the protection in that situation. I just give all the credit on that last play to
well, and it's very risky to blitz in a 5-yard situation to a first down. It's
especially when a touchdown loses the game. A touchdown. Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs were not only like, it's not as though the Chiefs were just defending don't get a field goal in this spot. A touchdown loses the game in that spot. So that adds to the risk.
I'll disagree there that a touchdown loses the game. A touchdown puts you behind. But I think that is part of the brilliance of what Steve Spagnuolo did and really Andy Reid's. I mean, Andy Reid basically said, defense is Steve. I mean, that's what he said on Monday was, that's Steve's thing. Like, and he does it. I can trust him. And so Andy was probably already heading the play sheet. I mean, he's managing the game, but also thinking about where he's going to go. But I do think that's one of the brilliance of it because you're right. It is a risky play in the sense that if somebody gets loose and they go for a touchdown, it puts you down, but it also puts the ball back in Patrick Mahomes' hand. So I think that is smart from that standpoint to take that risk and go for the jugular there because you have the ultimate weapon on the sideline. Like if you're sitting over there and you're going to hand the football to, I don't even know, whoever, I mean, frankly, Dak Prescott, then I don't do it because I don't believe that Dak Prescott can go down and get a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes is going to get a field goal, no problem, and you feel confident he will go get you a touchdown. So I do think there's a little bit more, credit should be given. That's managing the game and knowing the game situation. There wasn't 18 seconds left. There was time that they could go do it. But I think that makes the decision even smarter.
I was actually wondering if the Bills, in the middle of that drive, if they had gotten loose behind the defense in that situation, if they try and slide down at like the half-yard line and make the Chiefs burn a couple of timeouts and then you burn the timeout on that play, you burn the timeout after first down, and then you go for it on second and third down and really actually try and punch in the touchdown for that exact reason that you're summing up, Soren. We could have gotten to a really fascinating game situation had the Bills been able to convert there.
Yeah, for sure. When speaking about fascinating, we're talking about our friends at Whataburger. Whataburger is proud to sponsor the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. Now at all your KC Whataburger locations, and for a limited time only, get your Whata Wings tossed in any of your favorite flavors, including the new Nashville Hot. Or get your hands on fire you can handle with the all-new, perfectly spicy Bacon Blaze Jalapeno Double. Get a kick this football season with these great new limited-time Whataburger favorites. Stop by any of the Kansas City Whataburger locations today. Whataburger's open 24 hours a day.
Unlock a premium dispensary experience at Key Cannabis. Visit any one of our 12 Key Cannabis locations across Missouri for a huge selection of cannabis products and expert recommendations from Missouri's friendliest bud tenders. Quick service, convenient online ordering, drive-through pickup, and a fantastic loyalty program. Plus, Key Cannabis offers discounts for veterans, med patients, cannabis industry professionals, seniors, first responders, and students. Visit us in KC North, South KC, and Belton. Open 7 days a week or shop online at keycannabis.com. Key Cannabis, open for premium cannabis experiences.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Lamar and Josh Allen. Anyone think they've closed the gap? Like, is this the end of that discussion? I mean, I think, Jeff, for you, I'll just ask you. I mean, have they closed the gap, or Mahomes widen it again with this win?
I think I still feel the same way about it. I don't think that. Look, I think it'll be interesting to see what Sam says about it. I think he's more about the postseason part of this and who wins the games. I feel like if you watch those guys' evolution as players, yes, I think they are closer to where they are. They are closer to Patrick Mahomes today than they were 3-4 years ago. And so that's how I look at closing the gap. I think Joe Burrow's in that same boat. I think all three of those guys this season did things individually that spoke to their evolution as players. Obviously, Jackson and Allen are MVP candidates. Joe Burrow could have been an MVP candidate. He had his best year personally, but no, they're not Patrick Mahomes. But I think that you look at the way they're heading, at some point they're going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. It's like that's just the way it works in this league. Tom Brady didn't win all the time. The Eli Mannings, the Nick Foles of the world beat him. The Ben Roethlisbergers came along, the Drew Breeses. I think those guys, I think they're closer to where he is. They're not at his level, but they're closer for sure.
Sam?
Yeah, I feel the same way I did when we talked about this a couple of weeks before. I still think one of them has to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and that's not a product of them needing to prove something. It's a product
of Josh and Lamar, because Joe Burrow has.
Yes, it's a product of me just thinking that Mahomes turns it to another level in the playoffs. And if we judge it based on the regular season, we're not judging Patrick Mahomes at his best, and we are judging these other guys at their best. But I totally agree with Jeff. One of these guys is going to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. They're too good for that not to happen. If Josh Allen, and I know we disagree about the way Josh Allen played, if he had played the way he did in that 13-second game, for example, the Bills win this game because he was terrific in that game. I did not think he was terrific in Sunday's game. I think if he played the way he did, in any of the regular season games, he probably beats Patrick Mahomes on Sunday, because the Chiefs, by not recovering any of his fumbles, by not taking advantage of the interceptable passes, they left the door open for this to be the day that Josh Allen finally broke through. It's going to happen at some point. But the fact that it hasn't is certainly relevant.
Let me ask you this, because I think the answer is no, they haven't closed it because Patrick Mahomes is going to win more postseason. I get what Jeff is saying, but I think in the court of public opinion, I think most people are going to base upon, here's Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl again, and those guys couldn't stop him, right? And Lamar couldn't stop Josh Allen, right, to get there. But I do, if Lamar Jackson played for this team and Patrick Mahomes played for the Ravens, if Josh Allen played for this team, Patrick Mahomes played for the Bills, is it all reversed? Do all the wins go to the Bills with Patrick Mahomes? Do all the wins go to the Ravens? Or does it kind of split up and break down?
It splits up. I mean, look, here's the thing I'll always say about those other guys that gets lost in this conversation. And this is not a knock on Patrick Mahomes' greatness and what he's accomplished. When Patrick Mahomes showed up, he joined a team that had won the AFC West, twice before he got there, that had Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones. All these guys were here, right? Big offensive line. Joe Burrow joined a team that was drafting first overall. Josh Allen joined a team that had not been in the playoffs in 2 decades. Lamar Jackson, people forget this. John Harbaugh was about to get fired when he started playing Lamar Jackson. And that's where they were as a franchise. And so, yes, Patrick Mahomes has had this great run and is one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, but he's also been playing on a better team with better coaching for the last 7 years. And so to me, that's part of closing the gap as players, is that I give a ton of credit to guys who are able to lift franchises up. And all 3 of those guys have done that. So I don't diminish them just because they can't beat Mahomes. It's tough to do. But to me, it also speaks to where they're going and what they've accomplished. They keep getting better every year. I'll give you an analogy. When I was a kid, I'm still a big Detroit Pistons fan, but they won 2 championships in the 80s, in the late 80s. And the last time they played Michael Jordan, they beat Michael Jordan twice. And everybody in Detroit was saying, it's great to win, but that motherfucker's coming. He's coming. So we better get ready for it now, because it ain't going to be fun around here. When you start figuring it out, it's going to be a lot tougher to win these championships. And that's how I look at these other guys.
I don't know how any of us are going to follow that, but I do want to underscore Jeff's point about saving a franchise, because it was before the draft was here in Kansas City. And remember that was a draft that had some quarterback prospects. You didn't exactly know who was going to go first, with Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson was in that draft. I mean, there were a lot of quarterbacks in that draft, and obviously Levis falls to the second round. But I went back and looked and said, okay, what situation do the starting quarterbacks come into? And situation dictated as much as anything, to Jeff's point. When you come into a situation where the team had made the playoffs in the last year, or won at least 9 games, it was amazing how good they were as a rookie compared to the guys who came in as a team that was drafting in the top 5 for a reason. So I think that's valid. Soren, I think the most interesting part of your question would be, what if they still got to be developed by the same coaches, and then just this last year they switched places? If Josh Allen was still who he was, but was playing on the Chiefs on Sunday, if Patrick Mahomes still became who he was, but was playing on the Bills on Sunday. And I think the result flips in that situation based on the game, based on the way the quarterbacks played in that specific game. But there's no doubt. I mean, look, Josh Allen does not have an offensive-minded head coach, and he's rotated offensive coordinators his entire career. I mean, some of them have been promoted because of him.
The last 2 years.
Yes. Lamar Jackson does not have an offensive-minded head coach. He's got a special teams coordinator for a head coach, and he's rotated offensive coordinators throughout his years. Andy Reid has always been there and is an offensive-minded head coach with Patrick Mahomes there. Like, that consistency matters in the NFL. So there's no doubt that Patrick Mahomes is aided. It's not everything he is because of Andy Reid in the situation, but there's no doubt he's aided by the situation that he has.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. The Bills fans, what should they take away from Josh Allen's performance, Jeff?
Look, if I'm Buffalo, and let's all not be revisionist historians here. If you said, hey, you can be in the AFC Championship game playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl with this team back in week 1, people would have signed up for it all throughout Buffalo. Like, this team got rid of some, not just Stephon Diggs, but Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, some key people who've been part of that team for a long time. And, for me, I think if you're Buffalo, it sucks, Chad. You're 0-4 against the Chiefs, and you still haven't gotten back to Super Bowl in like 20 years, whatever it's been. But I think, the arrow's pointing up for you because Josh Allen got to an MVP level, figured out the turnovers. You've got a lot of young players who aren't going anywhere. I mean, who are they losing off that team that is not critical? I mean, is Von Miller the only guy you might get rid of now? Who was obviously just a bit player. And so I think if you're Buffalo, you're thinking, we got a pretty good chance of being back in a situation next year. That's how you should look at it. I mean, the whole thing about Josh Allen, which we would all agree on, is that until he cut down on his turnovers and his reckless play, they weren't going to get to where they wanted to get. Like, he changed that, and now they have a whole different dynamic working for them that I think bodes well for them for the next 5-6 years.
Sam, what'd you say to Buffalo?
100% to the way Jeff just finished that out, which is Josh Allen, I actually think, imitated Patrick Mahomes this year. And I think usually when you talk about imitating Patrick Mahomes, it's all this crazy throws and off platform, off script. It's because he protected the football in a way and trusted that the rest of his team was pretty good too. And that pretty good was their running game. Their running game was terrific this year. And I agree with you guys. One of the reasons that James Cook has the numbers he does is some people think on an option play that Josh Allen's going to keep the ball. But that it's also what Josh Allen had to recognize is that this other thing's going to be open because teams respect what I'm doing.
Whataburger is proud to sponsor the. Sorry about that.
Terrible. I finally agree with Jeff on like 3 straight points and we cut me off.
Enough of Sam.
But I think the Bills could get in a situation where they overreact to this one result, and they shouldn't, because I think if Josh Allen had played the way he had all year, that this game could be different. But from Josh Allen personally, I think this game might haunt him more than that 13-second game did, because in that game, first of all, it was a step shy of the AFC Championship. This was a step shy of the Super Bowl. In that game, Josh Allen had to leave the field saying, man, I did everything I could have done to win that game. I don't think he can walk away from this game feeling that same way. And it's the first time that the ball has been in his hands to go win the game. 13 seconds. Like I said, he scores with 13 seconds left. Last year, he sets him up for a field goal. The kicker misses the field goal. Josh Allen put them in position to send that game to overtime. This time he has a chance to win the game, and he fails. And I'm not saying that this should haunt his career. I'm not saying it should haunt him into training camp. I'm saying the day after probably felt worse for Josh Allen than the other ones have. One more thing I just want to say real quick, though. Josh Allen spoke to the media for 18 minutes yesterday. And to me, that matters, because I think if you are looking for a guy to lead your franchise, this was a crushing, heartbreaking loss. He flies back to Buffalo after the game late Sunday night, and on Monday, late morning, He's talking to his local media for 18 minutes. I think that says a lot about the leadership that he has in that franchise.
And talking to his fans, right? We say media and us being media guys,
but
we're not saying
yes.
The point is he's answering the questions and he's talking to the fans. And I do agree. If you've got questions about your insurance, David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world: home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations: North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right, let's discuss the short yardage part of things, Jeff. Did Spags get the better of Joe Brady when it comes to the short yardage game?
Yeah, like I thought that there was a little bit of hubris in what the Bills were trying to do, and I understand. I think they had like a 90+% conversion rate in those situations with Josh Allen, but the Chiefs had a great plan for it, and they obviously got Mike Pennell and Chris Jones over their left guard, over the Bills' left guard, David Andrews, where Josh Allen likes to go. I think they were really smart about kind of lifting him up and keeping him from getting lower and twisting him around and trying to make it hard for him to find momentum. And look, after the first one, I thought, wow, they stopped him. And it kind of shocked me. The second one was the same thing. The third one, look, I thought they got the first down, but I understand how people could think they didn't get the first down. And the way he was twisted up, the guy closer to him, the official closer to him, didn't have a good view of where the ball was. The guy farther away from him on the other sideline was farther away and couldn't, pick up where the ball was at. But again, it's the kind of play that in a game like this, and I'm not trying to I respect Sam's advanced stats and research, and he's great at that. But this is, to me, that was what football is all about. Here's the line. You're trying to get an inch. We're not giving an inch. And who's going to win? And in that moment, the Chiefs were the better team. And I thought the whole game flipped on that moment. Obviously, not just because of what Buffalo could have done, but because the Chiefs got a short field out of it and were able to go down and get a touchdown out of it. But I thought the misstep was the down before with Sean McDermott not challenging the third down spot. I thought that was definitely a first down by Kincaid.
What about the short yardage? I mean, is that where the Bills just failed when it comes to a coaching matchup, Sam?
Yeah, I actually don't consider that a Bills failure because, and I mean, we talk about analytics. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they convert that play at a 90% rate. Like, to me, that's analytics. Go with the play that you've got great success with. I don't consider that a failure that the Bills, trusted that play because it's been working for them all year long. It's not just this fourth down play. Not getting the 2-point, it was a 3-point swing when the Chiefs stop on the 2-point conversion because it forces them to go for two, and it forces the Chiefs also to go for two. Like, that was a 3-point play, not getting that 2-point conversion on the quarterback sneak. But the larger point now is you're going to see a hell of a lot of this in the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, and the Eagles have not been as good with the tush push this year as they were with Jason Kelce. I think they were about 89%. Now they're at 82%. This year with that play, so they're not as successful, but 82% on short yardage is still a really high rate. Like, they're going to see this play, and this spoke to Spags' ability to win on the margins. Like, I mean, but even the broadcast was calling out that they like to go. Josh Allen likes to go to his left guard here. I don't know that the Eagles are going to have that same sort of tell that the Bills provided them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's finish with the refs, right? Overall, What did you think of the officiating, right? That's the big topic nationally. It's even got ESPN on ESPN crime going on now. Pat McAfee and Adam Schefter had an exchange today.
What was the exchange? I didn't see that.
Well, Schefter comes on each week. A lot of people were upset about Adam Schefter's tweet, who said, for those of you who feel like Patrick Mahomes gets all the calls, I should find the tweet because I'm not quoting it directly, but I'm paraphrasing. There's news. The league is now going to begin with next year reviewing quarterback slides. Quarterback slides are going to be up for reviews. And people didn't like that he said
replay assist. Yeah.
Replay assist.
Yeah.
Live in the moment. So, they took it as basically he was saying that he was with the crew, and he went on Pat McAfee. He said, and McAfee was talking about, boy, he got on Twitter all fired up and everything. And because a lot of Chiefs fans or Mahomes fans were ripping him saying, oh, okay, you're going to make editorial comments. And he said, well, I just report the facts. And then McAfee turned it into, because McAfee got lit up about how, what facts he had with Aaron Rodgers last year when he'd have Aaron Rodgers on. And so, I think he was kind of throwing it back at him. He's like, well, which facts do you have? Right. Like, and so they just, and you could tell Adam Schefter wasn't happy. The look on his face was, he was not happy with the way it was going. So, but listen, the refs are frankly the biggest subject, which is, I think, sad on my part. I'll tell you this, what I don't like is, if you want to talk about how many calls Patrick Mahomes got, give me in comparison to Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
So wait, so what's in reference to this game? What's the aside of the fourth down play?
That play right there that's the one that everybody's landing on. What they're not landing on is Charles Omenihu did not have his hands on the face of the player, but was called for illegal hands to the face. Right. Great sell job by the Bills offensive lineman, throwing his head back and making it look like it. He recognized that the hand was up there close. He's like, oh, I'm going to sell this. And he sold it. They didn't have the Bills guard who jumped off sides, right? Had a false start when they were down at the goal line one time. There's like about 4 or 5.
The Bills were off sides whenever Caliendo got called for the false start.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The Bills had jumped across, and then Caliendo reacted to that. On the defense.
They were playing for the Chiefs. Yeah,
that's your point, right? This happens every game.
I'm not whining that somehow the Chiefs got screwed. I'm just saying every game there are calls that go the other way, and right now it's become this narrative that it's the Chiefs get all the calls, and there's always one call that gets brought out, and it's late in the game, and it's like, here it is. It's the league securing him, and nobody ever references all the other things, nor do they put it into context. Like we saw the one was like, oh, the Chiefs at home get this many more calls. Yeah, and the exact difference, or almost the exact difference, was the number of false starts, all the things you'd expect in the loudest stadium in the NFL for the opposition. Like if they don't get more calls, then you're probably not calling it right, because if it's the loudest stadium in the NFL, you should have more penalties probably on offense for jumping off sides.
Yeah,
if you are go ahead, Jeff. You go.
I can remember not that long ago when Carl Cheffers was the biggest villain in Kansas City whenever he called the game, because he was every time they saw the Bengals, he was the one. He was the undoing for the Chiefs when they played the Bengals, and so I think it happens. To your question, I thought it was a well officiated game. Like again, I thought the fourth down play was a first down. I can see how they marked it not a first down. I totally can see it that way, and I don't think. Even though for me it decided the game, like those kind of calls are going to come. Like if you think about it, like I think Jalen Watson had a tough personal pass interference penalty, but I thought Kyrie Irving had a pass interference penalty that I didn't think was warranted. I thought it balanced out and they let the guys play. In a game like this, I want guys to be able to play. I don't want officials deciding it. And I felt like even with the fourth down play, I don't think the officials decided this game.
Okay, Sam.
I agree with Jeff, but I am disappointed that some reputable journalists have bought into the conspiracy aspect of this, because the stats don't support it, and I don't know what there is to gain there. I would prefer that journalists actually dig through a situation first. I thought Josh Allen got the first down, and I actually am surprised and can't really exactly figure out how they did not spot him initially for the first down, but I would not have overturned it, because you just can't see it. You can't see where the ball is. And the whole reason I think he got the first down is based on the assumption of where the football is. I'm assuming based on how he rolls over, that it's probably closer to the left side of his body than it is, or at least in the middle of his body. His middle of the body, I thought probably touches the line. And so therefore, I think he gets the first down, but I can totally understand why you don't overturn it. I will say to this conspiracy that does exist, because people love to use this after the game, after every game. And I hate that it's a thing. I've intentionally on social media disregarded it and not engaged in it, because I think that those of us like this podcast that talks real football and the real reasons that games are won and lost should not be talking about officials. But those who disagree with me and those that think that's the only thing to talk about, there's ways to make money if you actually think these things are set and you actually think these things are fixed. Why aren't you making money off of it if that's the case?
Yeah, go bet the Chiefs every single time, and you'll be lying in your pockets. I think this Nick kind of sums it up. He said it's fine for fans of losing teams to vent. It's stupid when it's actual journalists chasing clicks. And I tend to agree. I get when your team loses. I heard Jason Anderson talking about this, or maybe it was Sterling on 810 today, that their buddy thought the Chiefs got all the calls till one day he bet the Chiefs. And then he realized they didn't, because he was pissed, because he was now rooting for the Chiefs. And it's like the calls that go your way you were supposed to get. The calls that go against you, you got screwed. And I get it. And I think what's frustrating is, listen, the conspiracy thing is just pathetic, right? Because 32 billionaires who have never been told no, who get whatever they want whenever they want it, are not going to come together and be like, it's your turn, Clark. And
it's your turn, small market. It's your turn, small market. We want the small market team to win. I mean,
forget who this league is.
It doesn't deserve our time, because we all analyze. I mean, the thing I want to point out is look, Jeff and I agreed a lot in the first half of this podcast. None of it is about the conspiracy type crap. I believe that Jeff arrives at his position as his positions in very valid ways, and that's what disappoints me about the journalists getting involved here, is because that's a different level that those of us, like the three of us, we shouldn't even be addressing this. I feel like, because, and I know it's a topic and that's why we're addressing it, but we're able to actually see the game for what it is, that we don't. I just feel like this is the low-hanging fruit, and those people who actually can dig into the weeds and find everything else are avoiding this for that reason, because we don't need the low-hanging fruit, for the engagement.
Yeah, I think it's well said. Don't forget, we're always brought to you by our great sponsors. You can help support us by supporting our sponsors like David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. You can give Dave and his crew a call if you got any questions about your insurance at 816-781-7331. Our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete for more than 30 years, Kansas City's best one contractor. All things parking lot. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. Key Cannabis, of course, you can find them open 7 days a week, or shop online at KeyCannabis.com. And by Whataburger. Whataburger is open 24 hours a day. Stop by any of the Kansas City Whataburger locations. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star, I'm Soren Petro, saying don't forget, we'll be back at it Friday at 10 a.m. with the next edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. Thank you for joining us here tonight.